As Vladimir Putin walked through the halls of the Grand Kremlin, Paris, to his inauguration on 7th May 2000, no one knew that 24 years later he would still be the leader of Russia. He is a polarizing figure, attracting both critics and proponents. His critics have called him a bully, a dictator, a tyrant, a murderer. His proponents, on the other hand, have referred to him as a hero, a doyen of politics, a global leader who has not only reasserted Russia's global dominance in geopolitics, but has successfully checked the United States' long stint of political dominance on the world stage. In today's episode, we explore the life of Russia's strongman, Vladimir Putin, the man who has stayed in power longer than even Joseph Stalin. The man Vladimir Vladimirovich Putin was born on 7th October 1952 in Leningrad, modern-day St. Petersburg. He was the youngest of 3 children, the only one who made it to adulthood. He was born to Vladimir Spiridonovich Putin and his wife, Maria Ivanovna Putina. His grandfather was Spiridon Putin, who was a cook for both Joseph Stalin and Vladimir Lenin. He was from humble beginnings, with his father being drafted into the Red Army as a member of its submarine fleet. His mother, on the other hand, was a factory worker. His upbringing was humble, with his family sharing an apartment building in the city of Leningrad with another family. They lived near Baskov Lane, where, upon achieving the required age, he started his primary school. Putin was one of less than 50 pupils in his class and quickly gained interest in martial arts. His love for judo was something that he would sustain even in his older years. He later went to St. Petersburg High School, where he learned English and German, being a fluent speaker in both languages. On completing high school, he enrolled into the University of Leningrad, where he studied law with a focus on international law between 1970 and 1975. It was while he was at university that he met his mentor, Anatoly Sobchak, a professor of law who would be instrumental in his future political career. In 1997, he received a PhD in economics from the St. Petersburg Mining University. After his graduation from his undergraduate degree in 1975, he opted to join the KGB, choosing to enroll at the 401st KGB school in Leningrad. Upon completion of his training, he was transferred to the Second Chief Directorate for Counter-Espionage. He would later be transferred to the First Chief Directorate, where his role mainly involved monitoring foreigners, especially consular officials. It is believed that during this stint, one of his assignments was in New Zealand, both in Wellington and in Auckland, where government records from New Zealand, as well as eyewitness accounts from the mayor of Auckland, placed him in the country under the cover of a butter shoe salesman. His service at the time impressed his superiors, prompting him to be chosen in 1984 to undergo further training at the Yuri Andropovov Red Banner Institute, an academy for foreign intelligence and espionage. Upon completion of his further training in 1985, he was assigned to East Germany. He would work under the guise of a translator with the Stasi, the East German secret police force. Putin is known to have been married once, with his wedding to Lyudmila Putina in 1983. He had met her at a concert in Leningrad, where she worked as a flight attendant. Their union was blessed with 2 daughters, the firstborn daughter being Maria Vorontsova, born in 1985, and the second-born daughter, Katerina Vladimirovna, born in 1986. Putin and Lyudmila announced a mutual decision to divorce in 2013, and the divorce would be announced as finalized in 2014. He is alleged to have had children from 2 other affairs, with the first being from Svetlana Krivonogich, a union believed to have borne the daughter Elizaveta. It is rumored that Putin had another affair with the Olympic gold medalist rhythmic gymnast Alina Kabaeva, a union that has bore at least 2 children. His first foray in politics between 1990 and 1996 was courtesy of his mentor Anatoly Sobchak, who successfully ran for the post of mayor of St. Petersburg. He would be appointed to several posts throughout Anatoly Sobchak's tenure. In 1996 re-elections, Sobchak failed to defend his seat as mayor, prompting Putin to resign from all his public posts in the city. He moved to Moscow, where he was appointed the deputy chief of the Presidential Property Management Department, Boris Yeltsin. The impressed Yeltsin would appoint him the deputy chief of the presidential staff. On August 9, 1999, Putin would be announced alongside 2 others as the deputy prime minister of the Republic of Russia. Later that day, he would be announced as the acting prime minister, with Boris Yeltsin in the same speech, urging him to vie in the following year's elections. At the time, Boris Yeltsin's ratings were in the single figures and he was very unpopular. Putin himself was virtually unknown in the political arena. It would be his handling of the Russian apartment bombings that would seal his fate.
Российские самолеты наносят удары исключительно по базам террористов. Мы будем преследовать террористов везде. В аэропорту, значит, вы уж меня извините, в туалете поймаем, мы и в сортире их замочим, в конце концов. Все, вопрос закрыт окончательно.
The results of this were visible on 26th March 2000 when Vladimir Putin won the presidential vote in the first round with 53% of the vote. During his first term, Putin instituted changes and reforms that would lead to the improvement of Russia's economic trajectory. He won a second term in 2004, garnering 71% of the vote in the first round. Upon Medvedev's ascension to the presidency, he appointed Putin as prime minister and premier of Russia, which would ensure that he would remain in power. After constitutional changes that allowed Putin to be eligible to vie again for the presidency, he would garner 63.6% of the vote to be re-elected as president of Russia. His third term was controversial on the international stage, being marked by events such as the annexation of Crimea. He would also intervene in Syria, backing the government forces of his ally Bashar al-Assad. In 2018, Putin won his 4th and what was believed would be his final term, amidst accusations by opposition groups of electoral fraud and malpractice. In 2020, he initiated constitutional changes that would allow him to remain in power until at least 2036. His 4th term has presented him even more unprecedented challenges, with his announcement of a special military operation in Ukraine on 22nd February 2022. The conflict is still ongoing, with no signs of stopping in the near future. In 2023, for the first time since he took power, he would face a military rebellion from Prigozhin, whose forces had taken the military headquarters town of Rostov and proceeded to march towards the Kremlin. Prigozhin's forces would later pull back and stop the march to Moscow after the intervention of the Belarusian president Lukashenko. Exactly 2 months after the rebellion, on 23rd August of 2023, Prigozhin and 9 others would be fatalities after the jet that they were on exploded over Tver in Russia. Love him or hate him, Putin has etched his name onto the tapestry of global geopolitics. He has single-handedly checked the power of the West, maintaining a delicate balance between NATO's influence on the West and Russian influence on the East. Whether his goal is a neo-modern Soviet Union, as his critics claim, remains unknown. But what we do know is Vladimir Putin has had an impact on the politics of this world, and the same impact will continue to be felt even decades from now.